Okay, I'm gonna try to do this video in one take, as in I'm not gonna edit it. But depending on how long it goes, I may do it in two parts. I don't know. I won't know until the end. So I'll tell you I'm cutting it here if that's what I have to do. But I think it's important to go over a couple things before we just go into some basic strumming stuff. Number one, get yourself a little cheap little clip-on tuner for your guitar. Turn this thing on, and then it clips on the headstock here like this. I'm turning it so you can see it. Let's see here. So you can tune your guitar, and the guitar should be tuned G, D, G. And I know that's kind of sideways. Let me turn it so you can see it. When you strum it open, meaning strumming all the strings, you get a G. This thing is tuned to open G. So it's G, D, G. The other thing is take note of how tight the strings are. If you feel like you're wrenching on this thing, you're probably about to break a string. Don't do that. Back it off, okay? Now, I guess going into that, these things, I leave mine out in the I build them, I leave them out in the garage. Even before I put them on my website, they're out here for weeks. I pick them up every day and I play them. Besides the normal stretching, they stay in tune. Now, this is wood and there's no truss rod, so temperature will change them. And so even when they drop out of tune, they're still in tune, relatively, if that makes sense. So if it's like 10 cents out of tune on the G string, it's going to be 10 cents on the D and 10 cents on the G. So it's still, if you strummed it, it would still sound good. It may be a little flat for a G, but it still sound good. So there's that. But it's a good idea to have one of these. You can clip it on here, check your tune every once in a while before you mess with it. And believe it or not, I just picked this up. I was out here last night playing it. I just picked this up this morning. It's in tune. So there's that. Going to the guitar. When people are talking about this guitar, they talk about the top string and the middle string and the bottom string. And when they're talking about it, it's almost as if you took this guitar and flipped it and you were looking at it like this. So the top string is this one down here, the high string. The bottom string is this one up here, the low string. So it's as if you took the guitar and you looked at it like that. So if you're looking at any instructions online and they say strum the top string, they're talking about this high G string. There's that. Okay. So since this is open tuned, so again, strumming, that is a G. So you can bar all the way up the neck. So that's another thing. When you're referring to the neck, it's like climbing a ladder. So this is down, this is up. So G, G sharp, A at the 2nd fret, B flat at the 3rd fret, B at the 4th fret, C at the 5th fret, C sharp, D, let's see, yeah, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, and then it starts over here at the 12th fret, 12. So that's what these dots are, 3, 5, 7, 9, 12. And then this is just, when you get up above the 12th fret, that's just a repeat of this. So this would be, even though this is 13, 14, this is the 15th fret, you could look at this as the 3rd fret, the 5th fret, and the 7th fret, just like 3, 5, 7, because it's the same notes. It's just an octave higher. So this is a B flat, then this is a B flat, just an octave higher. This is a C. Oh, I can't even get that one. There it is. C, C, just an octave higher. Okay. So there's that. So now let's talk about the bar chords. So that's what the allure of the cigar box guitar is you can play it with one finger. You can bar. And when you're barring, you're pinching. So here at the 2nd fret here, I am pinching this, and I got my thumb here, and I'm trying to basically drive my finger through. I kind of roll my finger, because when you put your finger down, you're going to notice that you got some crevices in your fingers, and that these strings like to sit in those crevices and not touch this fret. You're trying to make sure that this all of these strings are grounded on this fret right here. And when they do, it makes a chord. So there you go. So there's that. All right. Another thing that would make it fun, you don't have to, but there's plenty of like 5-watt cheap amps. I got a Roland Minicube. They don't make those anymore, but they make stuff like that, like a little, you can even search cigar box guitar amps or 5-watt amps, cheap 5-watt amps. There's an orange cube and stuff like that. They're pretty cool. The other thing is cigar box guitars like slides. That's what they're made for. And that's a whole different thing. I was thinking about showing you this, but there's so much more technique to this. We're gonna stick to the basics for right now. All right. So once you get all that down, and you can play this over and over again if you need to, but the biggest thing is to figure out or get a good bar chord. So I'd start here at the 5th fret. So these dots are for, like, I'm trying to show you something, but the dots for you are up here. So the same thing, it's the 5th fret. So if I was you, I would sit and just get comfortable holding this. Nice, soft strum. And I say the 5th fret because we're going to use the 5th and we're going to use the 7th. And they're a little easier to bar than the 2nd. So I would work on that, just holding it. Like I said, you notice I'm twisting my finger. I'm trying to get it as close to this fret without going over. And I'm just trying to make sure all of these strings are pressed up against the fret. So there's that. A lot of people, and I fell into this trap, as soon as you pick up a guitar, you want to learn some Gucci lick. All right, some shredding, which you really can't shred until you learn how to play. So I was trying to learn these Gucci little licks and then realized I still couldn't play. So we're going to go with like basic strumming. What we're going to do, well, let's go with the basic strumming first, and then I will show you a tune that is probably the foundation for this instrument as far as how to play it. And it's a foundation for blues. It's a foundation for rock. It's just people putting various little twists on it, but that structure and that foundation is exactly that. It is unchanged. So strumming. And for this one, there's millions of ways to do it. Let's go with the typical way, right? So you just have to be able to count to 4. 1, 2, That's a measure, right? 4 beats in a measure. If somebody's trying to teach you something, they may say 1, 2, 3, 4. If they add the and, then they're adding the upstroke. So then you got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So, like I said, there's various mixtures in between strumming the first, strumming on the first and the third and the fourth, or skipping some, right? But we're just going to go with the basics. So there's 2 ways you can play blues. You can play it all downstrokes, or you can play it all down and upstroke. So I would just practice that, right? I know it doesn't sound like much. We're gonna fix that here in a minute. Or you can go. Okay. The other thing about this is more technique, and I wouldn't worry about it too much, but I'm just kind of telling you, you know, when you that's ringing open, right? Sometimes to give some music some movement, then you may want to make some notes shorter than they are. You don't want them to ring out. So there's muting with this hand. If you were fretting over here, you would relieve the pressure and it would stop the tone. Or if you're strumming open, you palm mute. They call palm mute with this part of your hand. Another thing you can do is you take your hand and you slide it up. You start doing this. Slide it up there where you got tone, but it's thumpy. So it's kind of muting the string. See, we haven't even played any notes or fretted anything, and we've already changed the sound, and it's actually starting to sound like something. All right. So for this one, what we're going to do is we're going to use this middle string right here at the 2nd fret. And what we're going to do is we're going to, on the 2nd and the 4th, you're going to fret right here. You're strumming all strings. So if you're doing it all downstrokes, doing it up, down, and upstrokes. So on the 2nd down, then I'm letting it go, coming up, 3rd, up, 4th, up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Just get that down. Just get it down. And you saw I put some mute on it and I backed off of it, right? Just giving it some movement. But just practice, get in that habit, right? You're strumming over here, 2nd, 4, 2, 4. All of the ands are open, and 1 and 3 are open. 1 and 2 and 3. Oh, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. talking to my buddy one time about playing guitar, and he was like, man, it's like, you know, doing this, tapping your head while you're rubbing your belly, because this hand is doing one thing and this hand is doing another. So you got to just build that coordination. So I would say stop right there and practice that until it's almost second nature, right? We're going to take that same concept and we're going to move it to the 5th fret. We're going to move it to the 7th fret. On the 5th fret, same thing, middle string, you come 2 frets up, just like you were here. 1, 2 frets up. You're going to come 2 frets up. 1, 2. You're going to take your ring finger. You're going to do the same thing. Takes a lot of practice to get it. I'm telling you, it's a little more difficult. One of the ways you can, you'll notice you'll have trouble with this top string. It'll sound like that, so you get used to getting it all the way. So one of the ways to do it is to just not fight it and maybe relieve even more pressure and just so it's muted. So that's muted. And you're going to do the same thing on the 7th fret. So here we are on the 7th fret. 1, 2 frets up, middle string, right? Okay. Practice those. Practice those. You can see it already. I mean, it sounds like something, and then when you start doing a little muting to it. All right, what did I just do there? Just did the 12-bar blues, which is what we're going to talk about now. So I'd really encourage you to do the strumming first, get used to that, and then when you get used to that, then we're going to look at this blues structure right here. So what this 1 is the chord. It's called the 1 chord, which in this case we're open G, so the 1 chord is the G, the open. And each one of these boxes is a measure, so that's 4 beats, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then the second one, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So you're going to play the G 4 times. 4, 8, 12, 16 strums. Okay? Then you're going to come up to the 4 chord, not the 4th fret. The 4 chord, and I know that's confusing, just blows your mind, right? The 4 chord is the 5th fret, right? So you're going to play that twice, right? So 4, 8 strums. And you're going to go back to the 1 chord, open. You're going to play that twice. Then you're going to come to the 5 chord. 5 chord is not on the 5th fret, it's on the 7th fret. Boom. And you're going to play that once, so 4 strums. Then you're going to go to the 4 chord, which is the 5th fret, 4 strums. And then you see I got here 1 and 1 or 1 and 5, right? This is a turnaround. In blues, they call it a turnaround because that's what they do. They do a turnaround. So they'll play 4 measures of 1, and then they'll play 4 measures of the 5 chord, which kind of sucks you back in, right? If you want to end the song, then you're going to play the 1 chord. And so that's what I did there. It's a typical blues turnaround, and I'll show you that too if you want to do some Gucci stuff, because this is kind of Gucci. Okay, so you're going to take your middle finger, or excuse me, your pointer finger on the middle fret, and you're going to strum the middle, bottom, and back to the middle. and then you're going to move it down to the second, do the same thing, and then to the first. Hit that middle string open, and then you're going to play the 5 chord. So you could play the 5 chord, or you can do this little 4 to 5. So you play 4, 5, 5 to 7. So you go 5, 6, 7. So this is what the blues, so this is basic blues, right? So you could do it all with down strums. Or you can do it with that rock and roll rhythm, like I told you, with the down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay? That blues box is the structure for, I don't even know how many songs. It's a lot. I don't even want to say a number. It's a lot. If I said a number, you'd probably think I was exaggerating, but I'm probably not. So the difference is rock and roll. They use that same structure on a lot of songs. They just don't do turnaround. They'll do some fancy lick or something like that on the G, on the 1 chord, or whatever their tuning is, but they will not, it won't be as obvious as a turnaround. But if you go listen to most blues, you'll hear that turnaround. One of the things that sticks out to me, I don't know if you've ever listened to George Thorogood, and I forgot the song now. Hold on, it's coming to me. Moving On Over. It's actually a Hank Senior song, but George Thorogood does it. And if you listen to it closely, you'll hear that 12-bar blues. That's what he's playing. You'll even hear the turnaround. Okay, so get you one of these. Oh yeah, I plugged my amp in. I just never plugged this in. So let's plug this joker in. Oh, I gotta turn it on all the way. So yeah, an amp makes it fun and a slide makes it fun. But before you got to do that. Oh yeah, I just wanted to mention too, when I was playing that 12-bar blues, the whole time I was counting in my head. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So, you know, until you get, like, I've done it now enough to where I know that I've strummed 4 times, I guess, without really saying 1, 2, 3, and 4 in my head, but I still do it because I don't want to lose track. And you see right here, I'm giving it a little bit of mute, right, just to... see I'm doing a little muting when I'm on the 1 chord, and then I'm just opening it up when I'm on the 4 and the 5 chord. That's the biggest thing, is to get this working over here. So if you're just sitting there and then start adding this. If you get proficient at that, then probably anything that you look up on YouTube, you'll be able to find, you'll be able to play probably in no time. But you got to get that basic down, and that's what slowed me down, is I tried to play these little Gucci licks and just never developed this, and then kind of slowed me down. So I'm still learning, but I think this is where I'm going to cut it. Hopefully this helps. Tell me whether or not it helps. The other thing to remember is this is going to be an unlisted video, so the only way you can access it is by clicking on the link or saving it. You know, if you're going to have to go back to it, make sure you're going to have to go back. If you go to my website, you're not going to find it because it's unlisted. You got to click on the link, and it's going to be on a different YouTube page than the one that all my guitar videos are on. But that's it. Here's the structure. I'm going to show it to you again. Maybe just write it down. You'll see right here I put a 4 in here because you can substitute this with the 4 chord if you get advanced. And then I said this as well. You can, if you're going to end the song, you typically go back to the 1 chord instead of the 5 chord. The other thing maybe I failed to mention too is that a lot of times in blues in general, is they will open up they will open the song on the turnaround. So it'll, you know, instead of going into that, they'll, you know, do something. So they'll just open it up on a turnaround. So if you hear that, but biggest thing is to learn your bar chords and being able to fret 4 and 5, and then maybe just being able to get that transition. You know, when that's probably the other hardest thing for people to do when they're playing the guitar, is going from 1 chord to another without it sounding very mechanical and very choppy, right? So you want it to be fluid. So in doing that, you're kind of cheating a little bit sometimes, is what you're doing. Like maybe you're lifting down, you would still be playing this upstroke on this 4 chord, but really you lift your hand early and you start making that transition. So you're hitting that open note instead of this note. But that just starts to come natural, but it's something to think about so that your chord changes don't sound so they don't sound mechanical, you know, or choppy. Yeah, get yourself a tuner. Get yourself maybe an amp, and then slides. Slides are always fun. The one thing about slides that's different, now this is easy, you can play that same 12 bar with a slide, but instead of fretting behind, pushing down behind, you're taking your slide and you're actually hitting right over the fret, and you're barely pushing down on the slide, you're just touching the strings. And the one thing with a slide is, probably the best thing is you never really go straight to that note. You want to always slide into it, so you're really using your ear. The other thing with a slide is these 2 fingers right here behind it, I'm barely touching the strings, because if I don't, you got got noises on both sides of the slide, right? So it can sound very, I mean, unless that's your sound. That's the overtone coming from here. But if I put my hands there, slide is a lot of fun. So yeah, once you start getting into it, you definitely need one of these. Some folks just use a socket. Find a socket to fit your finger, but there's you'll notice this is not an extra long slide. It's called a stubby slide or a short slide because I can still bend. And the reason why, there's people that play just they play fretless guitars, and so they're using this slide on individual strings, which you can do. Not, that's the same 12-bar blues structure, just with a slide and a little different stuff. So the progression first is to just learn the 12-bar blues and get comfortable fretting. So you can also, you know, just get used to, I just turn my finger a little bit. This is the best one. Count it out loud when you're doing it. Okay, all right. I know I feel like I went painfully slow. I'm not trying to, insult anyone's intelligence or anything like that. I don't know what you don't or do know about guitars, so I'm just trying to make sure I cover the basics. And this is all things that I learned from watching like multiple videos, and maybe someone has all of this in one video, but maybe I just was too anxious to watch that video or something. But anyway, hopefully this helps. The biggest takeaway is that strumming down, and then down, up, down, and then adding this in there, and then learning how to bar, B-A-R-R-E, at the 3 and the 5. So you're just playing with these dots. That's all you're doing. Come up here to the 2nd fret to do this little thing here. You know the 2nd fret is below this 3rd. So you just look at the dot, and then you know you're at the right spot. I'm coming up to the 5th fret, so I'm coming to the 2nd dot. Coming to the 7th fret, I'm coming to the 3rd dot. That's what they're there for. That's it's about as basic as I can get it, and 35 minutes. There's lots of other techniques and things and stuff that I have figured out and learned and people have taught me. But I think in the beginning it just confuses people. So, but as you develop your playing, obviously you're gonna probably naturally incorporate some of those techniques before you ever realize that it is a technique. Anyway, that's it. Here's this other guitar that I'm working on. Just for your essay, I got like this little bridge that I'm building for it. And I got the accoutrement on there. Kind of copper, bronze. I rusted out a hinge that I'm gonna put some strings through. I rusted out a jack plate. Yep. So maybe it'd be pretty cool. Neck's over here drying. So anyway, at least let me know if you found this helpful or not. All right. Thanks for watching. I'm out.